Welcome to home practice and this creative task based on Stopgap's Artificial Things.
Short clips from this season of home practice. Our disabled and non-disabled teachers dance and deliver their sessions in a brightly lit studio with a wooden floor. Pastel-coloured geometric shapes glide across to reveal text inside the outline of a house. Home practice. Artificial Things. Chair choreography.
Hello, I'm Laura. I'm a white female in her 30s. I have brown wavy hair tied back in a ponytail. I'm wearing a purple hoodie, blue joggers, and I'm sat in my wheelchair in a light studio with pale blinds and a wooden floor.
Hi, my name is Hannah and I'm a white standing learning disabled dancer. I have short blonde hair, blue eyes, and I'm wearing a bright red t-shirt with a long sleeve top.
Welcome to this creative task based on the opening section of Scene 3 of Stopgap's Artificial Things. It's a duet between myself and Dave Toole, I say duet, but we actually think of it as a trio between Dave, myself, and my wheelchair. So for this creative task, you can either work individually or with a partner, but you will need a chair. One that's relatively sturdy, so it can take a bit of weight, but it's also easy to manoeuvre. But before we guide you through this task, we're going to give you a little bit of context about the piece. We also recommend that before you get going, you warm yourselves up. You can either do this in a way that works for you, or I recommend following the mini-series on the dance class based on Artificial Things. It's led by Christian and Nadenh, and you can follow the link on your screen or find the link in the description below. But if you want to skip straight ahead to the creative task, simply go to the timeline and find the creative task timestamp.
If you would like to watch the original duet, it is on YouTube now. If you follow the link on your screen now or in the description box below. I would really love to dedicate the session to Dave Toole, who passed away last year, October 2020.
This section immediately follows the tragedy at the end of Scene 2. It's a pensive and ground-based duet that's reflecting on loss, and it's based around a dismantled wheelchair upside down, and the dancers use this wheelchair to push off, lean and sit on.
Laura is isolated on a collapsed wheelchair and is watched by afar. She feels like she's on the outside. Maybe she feels alienated from the group.
Lucy, the choreographer of Artificial Things, says, "We explored the collapsed chair and how we could use it to create a support and level changes for the dancers. Initially, we explored contact dance skills, getting used to being in close proximity, using press, push, pull and roll. We used pauses and looks to create a filmic atmosphere. I like the idea that if it was a film, it would be in close-up." And this is one of the key stimuluses for the whole of Artificial Things, was the image of myself sat beside my wheelchair, which was collapsed. And Lucy imagined that this image was within a snow globe. So for this creative task, as I said, you can either make it a duet, which would be one dancer and a chair, or a trio, which would be two dancers and a chair. I'm going to be working with Hannah today to show you our version that we've created. Make sure that the chair or stool that you have is sturdy enough to take a bit of weight, but you can move it easily. Hannah and I are going to be using my wheelchair with the wheels taken off like we do in the original duet or trio.
We will spend a bit of time in between each step as we make our version. If you would like to pause and practice to give yourself more time, please do.
So for the first step, you need to decide the orientation which way you're going to have your chair. I'd suggest going for something a bit different, so not just having it upright, you could maybe have it on its side or on its back. So Hannah and I were going to move my chair. So it is on its side with the seat bit facing forwards, and then decide what relationship, where in space you are related to the chair. So you could start next to it or away from it. Hannah's going to start on one side, kneeling. I'm going to be on the other side with one leg crossed under, and we're both in contact with the chair. Take a moment to choose for yourselves which way you're going to have your chair or stool and where you're going to be in relationship. For the next step, we're going to find different ways to manipulate the chair. And we're going to do this manipulate the chair, or if you're working with another dancer, with your partner. To do this, we're going to use 4 action words. The first one is press, which is like a stationary applying pressure. The second one is push, so that's using pressure to move something. The next one is pull, the opposite of push. And then finally, roll, or finding any kind of rotation. So you can do these words in any order. You probably go for about 2 of each word, makes a good length. Don't worry about trying to make it dancey though. We're just looking at the moment for functional pedestrian movement. So those words are press, push, pull, and roll. Hannah and I are going to show you what we've got for our first step. So I'm going to pull the chair and Hannah is going to push it towards me. We're then going to lift it and roll it across my back. We then press down onto the chair. Hannah pushes me, so I tip. Hannah steps over the chair and pulls me back upright. We're then going to roll the chair again. Hannah's going to use her foot and I'm using my hands. Then Hannah is pressing down on the chair to pin it so I can pull myself in. I'm going to push my legs around. Then Hannah lifts to tip the chair. I push Hannah's leg. And Hannah pushes down on the chair. So, have a explore with those words, play, try and find some different ones, and then link them all together. We're going to show you that one more time. So when you're ready, when you've got your actions with those 4 words, something extra to think about is adding some changes of level. We've already got a couple of changes of level, but we're going to go through what we've got so far and see if there's any extra moments where we can add those level changes. They can be going higher or going lower. So we start with our push and pull. our roll of the chair, our press, then we can use this press of the chair to find some height. And then when Hannah pushes me, I can go even lower. We've got this height with Hannah there. Hannah changes height and drops. The chair tilts. So it doesn't need to be lots of times, just make sure you've definitely got at least a few changes of level. Go through your material, check you've got that, and when you're ready, come back for the next step. For this next step, we're going to add in the 4 motif words. These are ledge, rest, circle, and breath. So ledge, creating some kind of ledge that can be leaned on. Rest, you can then lean onto that and take a pause. Circle, it could be either creating a circle or drawing a circular pathway. And breath, using a breath to punctuate the movement. So this could either be like a sharp intake of breath or a slow exhale, some kind of punctuation with the breath. So ledge, rest, circle and breath. You don't need to create new moves, just find ways to slot that into the material you already have. So it starts with both of us taking a breath in before we breathe out to do the pull and push. The roll. And then we can breathe out and rest as we press down. And then we change levels. Hannah presses and pushes me. I can have a moment of rest down low here. We're going to find a circle in our torsos. And then a sharp out breath. A circle. And I can rest back onto the chair. And then I'm going to create a ledge for Hannah to rest her head on. So find a way to add in those words, ledge, rest, circle and breath. When you're ready, come back for the next step. So next we're going to add some details. So you can think about eye focus, where you're looking, whether you have eye contact with your partner, and also some more details. So remember what Lucy said about imagining that it was cinematic and there were close-ups. So if it's helpful, you can imagine maybe certain bits of your movement that are in close-up. So Hannah and I are going to look at each other as we breathe in, and then find the detail of the change of grip on the wheelchair. We shunt the chair and roll it. Pressing down and resting. Look at each other before we press up and look out. Another moment of eye contact before Hannah pushes me over. I'm going to look at my hand as it circles. Then we're going to find detail rippling through the fingers on the back of the wheelchair. I look to Hannah. And we'll finish with a moment of eye contact. So, finding those moments of looks, eye contact and focus, and the little details that could be in close-up. When you've done that, come back for the final step. So the final step, if you would like to develop your dances a bit more, is to think about characters, storyline or atmosphere. Think about the moves that you've got, and maybe you could get someone to watch them and help you decide what kind of characters you might be within this dance. Are you playful and cheeky? Is it supportive? And also, what does the chair represent? Is it a precious object? Is it a toy that you're fighting over? Or does it represent maybe a memory or a loved person that you've lost? Think about that and let those choices inform the movement. In the original duet in Artificial Things, my wheelchair represents my safety. But for this one, we're going to show you two different versions. First of all, we're going to show you a cheeky, playful version, and then we're going to show you exactly the same moves, but with a tender and supportive atmosphere.
As I work with character work and making stories, let us know what you think what our relationship or story could be.
Laura's wheelchair, with wheels removed, is on its side. Hannah is kneeling to one side of it. Laura sits to the other, one leg folded. With a cheeky grin, the dancers shunt the chair across the floor before spiralling it up over Laura's back and down to the floor. Laura's head pops up. A moment of contented rest. The dancers spring back into life, catching each other's eye before pressing up, beaming outwards. They lower. A playful elbow from Hannah sends Laura toppling to the floor. She reaches for Hannah, who pulls her back upright. With smiles, they circle their torsos as Laura's hand sweeps the floor. Together, they roll the chair onto its front with a clunk. Hannah drops sharply. Pinning the chair, Laura shunts in. Their fingers ripple on the back of the chair. Laura circles her legs to lean back on the chair. Hannah seesaws it down. Laura sends Hannah's legs circling, then spiralling upwards. Hannah seesaws the chair back up, relaxes her head onto a supporting hand, rebounding back up, turning to each other, they grin together. With a heavy sigh, the dancers' eyes meet across the wheelchair. Gently, they shift it across the floor before rotating it through the air and placing it tenderly back down, resting heavy heads on the chair. They reawake to push up, gazing outwards, before sinking softly back down. A gentle nudge sends Laura softening into the floor, as if listening to it. Extending a leg, Hannah steps over the chair, offers a helpful hand and brings Laura back upright. Torso circling together with a sweeping motion. They rotate the chair carefully. With a knowing look, Hannah drops into a crouch, presses down on the chair as Laura draws herself in. Rippling fingers clasp the back bar with precision. With a circling motion, Laura reclines into the chair. Hannah rises and softly tilts the chair, lowering Laura down. A brush of the hand sends Hannah round to press down on the chair, lifting Laura once more. Hannah rests her head into a cradling hand. She rises back up to turn and look at each other with a calm smile. So when you're done, have a few practices and then have a think maybe what sort of music might help support the atmosphere or story that you've created.
And now my favourite part, we would love to see your creations. It would be great if you could film your version and share it on Stopgap social media, Facebook, Instagram, you name it. Our links and handles are here.
Finally, do remember to cool down after you've finished your dance. Thank you for joining us for this episode of Home Practice. If you've liked the episode, please give it a like. And do remember to subscribe so you can keep up to date with all of our home practice episodes. There's look out for the rest of them in the series based on artificial things. Next up is a choreographic task from Lucy Bennett, who's the choreographer of Artificial Things. Thank you for joining us. See you soon.
Home Practice, Stopgap Dance Company.